system, di ba? So in the colony, you have mga partitions. So yung parang may mga caste system sila na kung saan parang nagbibigay sila ng mga titles like you have the queen, you have the workers, mga soldiers. So yun, so parang very you can compare yung kanilang success with us in terms of yung evolution. And also, yun, yung hierarchy nila, yung queen, yung male, normal size worker, and soldier. Each of these, tawag dito, hierarchy, they have a particular role inside of the colony. So the queen is relegated to reproduction, yung male naman is yung pag-fertilize ng queen. So yun lang talaga yung ano yung silbi ng mga male sa colony. Although technically all the specimens inside the colony are all females. And yun, yung mga siblings. So they're all related because yung haplodiploid concept sa genetics. So everybody is a sister to one another. And then yan, energy allocation for reproductive cast is always relegated doon sa mga reproductives mo, yung male and then yung queen. Because in most cases sa colony, ang success nila is when they reproduce. So if mapapansin niyo during mga before umulan, yung mga maraming gamo-gamo, most of those are ants. And in most cases, yung energy ng colony is being diverted in those instances na kung saan pwede nilang i palabas sa kanilang colony yung kanilang mga reproductive alates so that they can also establish more colony. Ayan. So yan, the queen actually dictates everything. So in most cases that's true, but yung success naman is always it's also a matter of luck talaga eh. So some queens na lumabas sa colony, they don't get the chance because yun nga, meron pang reigning queen that is hasn't been dethroned yet. So yeah. So I'm very interesting about ants is actually yung kanilang system of communication. So as you well know sa ating mga vertebrate ariyan higher beings, we use language, di ba, for us humans, but in some other vertebrate taxon, yung mga sounds. But in the ant colony, actually, ang kanilang lingo is chemicals. So they release certain chemicals that indicate certain degree of reaction. So yun, yung stridulation, there's also tapping or stroking. So these are all physical, no? So unlike sa atin, di ba, like yung mga birds, humuhuni sila. Yung mga mammals, mga call sila. But for ants, there's yun nga, chemical circulation and tapping. I'll discuss that later in the slides. So yun. So for chemicals, yun. So when one meet, teka lang, tanggalin ko to because I cannot see. Okay, so yeah, so when one ant meets another, there's always two reactions. So it's either if it's the same odor, they would be a response that it's part of your colony. But if it's not, it's a different ano yan, odor. Parang they go into an attack mode. So yun. So these are very interesting because if you put a specimen of ant in one colony and then place it in a different entrance of the same colony, it will not be attacked. But if you take that species from one colony and then put it in another colony, it gets attacked. So yun yung parang very interesting because they have this parang form of defense to guard the colony. Then stridulation. I don't know if you can hear this. Yan. So yan. So this is a sound that is being generated by a cocoon for the workers to feed them. So yan. So yung parang ticks na yon, that's a stridulating ano yan, mechanism that is being made by the cocoon so that it gets fed. And then also Yun. So again, as I said, yun nga, there are many similarities between us humans, actually, between ants and the colony. Because may mga parang partitioning sila ng kanilang responsibility. And then, yun nga, mayroong mga hunters. As you can see, may mga lone individuals that would forage and then hunt for food. You have farmers. So if you're familiar with yung mga North American ants that collect leaves, yung mga leaf cutter ants, they would actually collect the leaves and then place them back to the colony to grow fungus. So it's not actually the leaves that they're eating, but it's a substrate that they use to grow their food, yung fungus nga. And then you have also the herders, yung mga langgam na if you're familiar with mga mealybugs. They parang herd yung mealybugs, they offer protection, and at the same time yung mga mealybugs, they would parang secrete yung parang nectary and sugary substance from the back of their body, which becomes the food of the ants. So parang meron tayong symbiotic relationship with them. And then yung ant bendo. Very amazing ito because these are ants that actually store food into their body so that they can regurgitate it when resources are very scarce. So parang nagiging ano sila, parang mga vending machine sila. So parang storage for food. Okay, and then also there are also many constructing ano yan, ants, like for example, very common ito. I'm pretty sure you can find this in your gardens or in your school. Yung mga leaf cutter ants, I mean leaf weaver ants. So they actually weave yung mga intricate balls on sa mga puno natin that you will see, and they would house yung kanilang colony. So these are very specialized arboreal ants that construct yung leaves by using yung um, larva that secretes yung ano yung what do you call this? Yung yung silk nila. Okay? Yeah. So there's also highly specialized species that are adapted to semi-marine environments. Like I'll show you this video. So this is the first documentation of an ant here in the Philippines that can actually swim. So we know of ants na when they are disturbed by water, they parang congregate and then they raft, di ba? So but this one, they actually swim. So parang they overcome a body of water, intentionally crossing that barrier. So this is a specimen of Odontomachus which was documented in Palawan in 2014. Kung masipag-sipag sana ako na na-publish ko na to, pero sobrang tamad ko, di ko pa siya na-publish. But there are also other documented ability of ants swimming in Australia and also in Malaysia. But for the Philippines, this is the first one that we've seen this behavior. So if you can see talaga, they're actually crossing the barrier without struggling, di ba? So you notice talagang gusto niyang i-cross yung barrier. So yan. So very ano lang yung video, but kasi we were using a point and shoot camera. So this is an intertidal ant sa coast. So during the low tide, yung ebb, nag-ano siya, nag-forage siya doon sa ebb for mga snails, other marine organisms or invertebrates. Yan. So another great characteristic that I can share about ants is yung kanilang altruistic behavior. Kasi I'm a Jesuit educated student ng Ateneo. So bias ako sa Jesuit upbringing. So yung altruism is actually a concept in biology na yung parang sacrifice mo sarili mo over the greater good, di ba? Which is very common and true among ants. So if you're familiar with the term na in war, we send our young men to battle. sa colony ng mga langgam, we sent our old women to battle. So it takes precedence sa colony na you have to take care of the young and then the brood, and medyo sacrificial na yung mga matatanda, so that na-ensure yung safety, and then yung energy is preserved within the colony if you maintain yung mga younger generation. So yan. So it's a very altruistic behavior. And then I'll go into discussing yung a bit on Philippine myrmecology natin. So yung current taxonomic status natin sa Philippines is that we have 10 subfamilies represented. Now, in the monitor, you will notice that there's two maps, one of Madagascar and one of the Philippines. I'll tell you the significance of why I chose Madagascar and the Philippines now. So, sa atin, in the Philippines, there's 10 subfamilies represented, no? But in Madagascar, there's only 8 subfamily. And then globally, there's 16. So, you can see, no, in Madagascar, nata-trump off natin siya in terms of subfamily pa lang, no? And then at 16 globally and then 10 in the Philippines, very high tayo in terms of subfamily. Now, let's go to the genera. So, genera naman, currently we have 102 and then 1 endemic here in the Philippines. And in Madagascar, they have 59 genera and 352 total globally. Sa species level naman, we have 562 valid species. When you say valid species, we only know them by name. So, nothing else. Basta we have 562 valid species. And in Madagascar, although mas mataas yung level ng species, the diversity nila, 856, and then 14,593 total globally. So again, of all these species that we have, genera, subfamily in the Philippines, we only know them by name. Now, why is that significant? So Madagascar is 226,357 square miles, and the Philippines is 115,000 roughly 1,000 square miles. So imagine nyo, Madagascar is almost twice as big as the Philippines, and yet we trump them in terms of the number of genera and then subfamily. And then Madagascar has been sampled extensively for the past almost 7 decades, and they couldn't find any more new species. I mean, may mga ilan-ilan na lumalabas in the past few years, pero not as extensive of a discovery that we find here in the Philippines. So imagine niyo, they have sampled Madagascar in all cardinal points at almost all elevations. So northeast, southwest, and then yung partition noon, and then at all elevation. But in the Philippines, I can tell you that we've only sampled very few extensively. Visayas is a very, very poorly represented gap in our list. Mindanao, we barely scratched the surface. Sa Luzon, kasi nga it's the mainland, and then most of the researchers in the past, they have sampled mainly all the mountains there. So medyo konti na lang yung diversity na nakikita natin. Although, meron pa rin. So, it is very exciting to sa amin na, especially yung mentor ko si Dr. General, to study ants because there's a lot of potential to find new species and discover mga new and interesting behaviors that are still waiting to be unraveled. So, a little bit more on numbers. So, this is the Philippines is actually ranked 9th in the world in terms of genera, di ba? So 102 genera. So imagine niyo, of all the countries in the world, pang siyam tayo in terms of the genus diversity. And then we have 1 endemic species. So in terms of species naman, we are 19th in terms of species diversity at 584 species, and 216 of those species are endemic, which means dito lang natin makikita. I mean, purely Pinoy sila. Okay? So yan. So I'll go along with how do we conduct our study sa langgam, no? So usually we do trappings in the field. As I'm pretty sure you've heard earlier this morning kay Sir Jaa, we go into the field and spend some time there. Usually, sa amin kasi in ants, mas extensive kami. We spend siguro mga at least 15 days so that we can sample. Pero the good thing about ant na natugustuhan ko talaga, which is why nag-develop yung passion ko sa kanya, is pangtamad siya. Unlike kasi sa mga butterflies, as you are well aware of, lumilipad sila, sabi ni Sir Jaa, di ba? So you have to actually catch them while running, di ba? So, pag mga ganung mga mobile na mga organisms, inaayawan ko yan eh. But I'm pretty sure from where you're sitting right now, if you look extensively in a 5-meter radius, ang unang organism na makikita nyo is langgam. So, ganun katamad ang pag-study ng langgam. I mean like, you only have to choose a particular area and then you spend your time there. Yun nga lang, medyo matagal because sobrang liit nila para hanapin. But the good thing about that is that you don't need to either run or to really catch them na actively baka minsan nagtumatakbo ka biglang natisod ka, gumulong ka sa gilid ng bundok. Yan. Ako usually just sit on the forest floor and then sift yung leaf litter so that I can find my yun lang talaga yung pinaka-difficult part of the field work. Although, as again, sabi ni Sir Jaa, it's a fun activity doing field work. Anyway, so kinds of trapping. When we trap, we use like mga pitfall. Pitfall is a basic standardized trapping mechanism for ants. All you have to do is to put a container with a killing agent. Ang killing agent ko usually is water with a little bit of soap so that it will remove yung ano yun, yung water ano nga ba yung ano Eric, di ba yung mga organisms na maliliit, they go yung surface tension, so it breaks the surface tension kasi mga small organisms when they fall on the water, they can like skim on top and then escape, no? But if there's like a small amount of liquid, mabibreak yung surface tension on, so mamamatay sila doon sa killing agent. So that's pitfall. And then we also have yung siftate extraction, which is very popular. So you have a Berlisi here. There's two type of ano yan, siftate extraction, yung Berlisi and then yung Winkler. So for Winkler, we basically just bring a lot of this contraption that you see in the slide in the field. And then we fill them with yung mga siftate na tinatawag. And then we put them inside. And then lahat ng mga organism mahuhulog doon sa container sa ilalim na nakikita nyo parang plastic. So that's it. And then, yun. So this is an example of how I would deploy my pitfall. Yung pitfall namin is very, ano yan very simple lang. If you're familiar with taho cups, yung taho, if you have one of those, that's basically our pitfall. And then we will deploy, in one transect, we will deploy 10 kasi yung interspersion namin is 10 meters from one another. That should actually remove yung pseudo replication sa study ninyo if you're interested in doing ant study. So yeah. And then that's the cup. And then once you get your sample, you put them in a pan so that you can collect yung mga organisms that have fallen inside the pitfall. And then so yeah, so this is a sifter, I mean. Here's a video. So you sift your siftate.
Take it, baby.
And then that's the voice of my mentor, Sir Dave. And then lahat ng mga siftate na pupunta doon sa ilalim, that's the thing that you will put inside the Winkler or the Berlisi funnel. Okay? So yan. So this is the inside of the Winkler. May mga nets that you put yung mga siftate in those nets and then you leave it for like 24 hours or depende on your study, it could be nocturnal or diurnal, 12 hours or 24 hours. Yan. So that's how it would look like when you are in the field. And then after yung period of collection, kukunin na namin yung nasa cup sa ilalim so that we can process them. Yeah, so the good part, the other good part about fieldwork is actually going into the lab because doing fieldwork is only half the fun actually. Because you cannot really determine kung ano yung mga nakolekta mo until such time na makabalik ka sa lab because of the small sizes ng mga target taxa namin. We need microscopes to actually sort them out and then identify them. So yun yung isa sa mga yung parang 50% ng fun for ant study is field work. The other 50% is processing your specimen. Ayan. So yan. So we need microscopes already because of, yung small size. Obviously, you need that. So yan, insect preparation naman, there's very basic na mga methodology. Again, we're pinning them, but for ants, because they're so small, you cannot pin them directly in their body. You have to put them in what you call triangles, no? So I will just go out of my slide for a bit. I will show you how that is done. Okay. Okay. So if you can see in your monitor, this is how you spread an ant. Yeah, it's playing. So it's an acquired skill talaga because they're so small. So ganyan ang itsura ng langgam mo. Pero if you need to identify them, the best way for you to identify them is by mounting them so that you can actually see yung mga morphological parts niya. Kasi Dr. General and his colleague Gary Alpert developed a key for Philippine ants na pwedeng gamitin ng mga researchers so that they can ID up to genus their ants. So, yan. So very carefully, ang ginagawa ko dito is I'm trying to spread yung langgam so that I can put them in a mount, a triangle mount. So it's a very delicate procedure kasi because of their small size, it's very delicate. And kapag mabigat ang kamay ninyo, there's a possibility of you damaging your specimen and very difficult na for you to identify them once they're damaged. So ang key technique dito is to just spread yung katawan niya, yung mga legs niya, so that it will be easier for you to put a glue underneath the specimen. I hope everybody can is seeing the video. I will leave a video with Dr. Eric so that you can review it. Ayan. So once it's spread, the next part is for you to mount it. Yan. So that if you can see, there's the triangle on top and then the spreaded ant is on the bottom. So ang gagawin na natin dyan is to attach a glue and then carefully place the specimen on the tip of the triangle. Ayan. Oops. Oh, nawala. Yan. Okay. Okay. So yan, so that's it. So at that position, yung langgam ninyo is already available for inspection at all the necessary angles, yung dorsal, lateral, and then head view niya, which is the three main angles that is needed for you to identify your ant. Okay, but there's a slide. Okay, so yan. So yun. So also, if you're seriously considering studying ants, it's very important for you to label your specimens. I cannot overemphasize this enough na unlabeled specimens are useless specimens. They do not carry all the information that is needed for you to study the organism. Working at the museum, I always try to encourage researchers and students that even in the field, kailangan meron na kayong label. Kasi madaling makalimutan kung saan mo nakolekta yung isang organism or sample mo if hindi siya labeled. And again, it loses its value once na nawala yung label mo. Okay, so for Asa Langgam, we have mainly three kinds of labels. If in the right portion, yung top label is a locality label, which again would contain yung locality where you collected it, the date, and then the collector. Yung lower white label is the specific area that it was collected in or the habitat. And then yung sa right red label is yung determination label. So this is an ant that was collected by yours truly in Mount Palali, Nueva Vizcaya, and this is the only endemic genus that we have here in the Philippines. It was named after me by my mentor, Dr. General. Okay. Okay, and then you also have to maintain a database with your labels. But it is very easy to lose track of all the data that you have. But if you have a database, madali mong ma-process. It's like bioinformatics, di ba? So if you maintain, even in an Excel file, yung lahat ng collection mo, it's so easy for you to associate it with the study that you're conducting. Okay. So yeah, so again, once it's pinned and properly labeled, you have to store it in a container so that hindi masisira yung specimen ninyo. That's if you're really considering studying biological organisms. Kasi I have to also tell you that when we do collect organisms in the field, we also have that ethical responsibility to preserve our collection because alam mo yun, parang kunilekta mo sila tapos pinatay mo sila, you have the responsibility, moral responsibility to take care of the thing that you just killed so that it will have use which will be useful to others as well. Kasi usually mga natural history collections, they will outlive you, especially if you're going to deposit them in the museum. Siguro patay ka na, nandun pa yung museum, yung mga museum collections ninyo, like yung kay Linnaeus or kay Darwin sa ibang bansa. Anyway, moving forward. So what's the reason why we collect ants? So for me actually again Sir Ja earlier this morning was talking about his passion when he started his ants. Ako actually I started ants because na-brainwash ako ng aking mentor si Dr. General. Over the weekend he would go dito sa mountain ng Mount Isarog and every Friday magsasabi siya sa klase namin, oh, I'm going to Mount Isarog for 2 days overnight. We will collect ants. Sagot ko na yung pagkain ninyo. So, nung sinabi niya sagot niya yung pagkain namin, sumama na ako kasi libre, di ba? Tapos makapaglakwatsa ako. Anyway, so yun. But we have some specific reasons why we collect ants. So number one, we have to identify the organisms. Ito yung basic phonistic study. So you cannot really learn to conserve something or some place if you do not know what is found inside that place. So yeah. So here's a study that we did in 12 years ago. Yeah, 12 years ago in 2016. Oh, 17. Actually, 2016 namin kinolekta ito. In Mount Hamigitan. So we sampled that mountain and then we actually found some new records in that area. So it's very interesting because if you really sample correctly, there are really new things that to be discovered in that area or in any area. And then also we need to record. So sometimes kasi you find a species in the past, pero again, it's destroyed. Like for example, this specimen of Enictus bakeri, it was collected in Mindanao, somewhere in Iligan by Baker. But this is a specimen found in the Museum of Comparative Zoology. As you can see, it's destroyed. Parts na lang ng specimens ang makikita nyo. So right now, if somebody asks me, ano itsura ni Enictus bakeri? I wouldn't know. Ito na lang yung nag-iisang specimen na natitira. So we haven't seen Inictus bakeri since Baker collected it. So the record that we take and then preserve actually will be used by future scientists. So that like for example ako, I since I do not know what Bakery is, I have no choice but to go back to Iligan and then sample all the areas in Iligan that Baker collected so that I could get lucky and then find Inictus bakeri and then compare it with the description that he used. But right now, we do not know what Inictus bakeri really looks like. And then also, we want to describe new species now. So along with the discovery of new species is the ability for you to describe yung new species na yon. The closest approximation that I can give for description is if parang sa ating mga tao, once we are born, we are given a birth certificate, di ba? Sometimes, I mean, in most cases, for mga organisms that are described or found to be new, we describe them and then we publish them in a scientific publication. So ito yung parang birth certificate nila. So imagine mo, parang you're trying to like put into the limelight yung organism na ito that other people have not seen or heard of before. So it's also one of the very, very exciting things about studying ants for me yung description because there is a very very high chance actually yung na-mention ni Sir Eric kanina I could put a number on it siguro mga nasa 50 or 40% chance of discovering something new if you sample a mountain correctly. So yan. For the Philippines, maraming research opportunities for any willing student or researchers to go into ant study. Number one, yung behavioral and life history studies. Again, as I said, we only know all the ants in the Philippines by name. Yung swimming ability ng Odontomacos na nakita niyo kanina, we've only documented that, pero as of lang, I haven't published it yet. We've only documented that in Palawan. In most cases, all the other ants, wala tayong alam about what yung feeding behavior nila, ano yung kanilang mga quirks sa loob ng colony, ganon. So these are all gray areas na talagang very open for possibility of study. Then there's also only 2 people in the Philippines that is studying ants. Well, actually 3 na ngayon. May isang female from, well, actually 4. May isang female from Mindanao, si April. I hope nandito si April. And then there's another one from UP Diliman, also studying ants. So I hope mag-publish din sila ng mga descriptions nila. And then there's also yung the use of insects as indicators to represent in diversity, mga surrogate. If you're familiar with the term surrogacy, you use parang a surrogate na organisms to parang tell you what the health of the environment is. I did a study on this before in my master's years, although hindi ko natapos. Yung concept ng tawag dito, yung environmental health. Kasi if you parang compare yung human body, if it's being attacked by illness, ang unang response mechanism niya is yung ating mga yung ating nasa dulo ng dila ko, sorry. Yung ating what's that term again?
Okay, kaya mo yan, sir.
Nag-blackout ako, Eric. Sa totoo lang, wait lang.
May mahaba-haba ka pa namang time.
Ano yung response ng katawan natin when we're being attacked by germs? Immune system, yan. So the immune system response. Sorry, nag-blackout ako konti. So, if you think about it, sa human body, kapag tayo ay nagkaroon ng illness, ang unang defense mechanism natin is yung immune system natin. Ano yung characteristics ng immune system sa katawan natin is that they're very distributed into our body, and then very sensitive to perturbations ng attack in the body, no? So if you parang think of it in the environment, ano yung single organisms na sa totoo lang sobrang kalat na kalat siya? Like for example, even from where you're standing, ang una makikita mo is yun na yun. It's the langgam. Kasi because of their small size, and then they're virtually found everywhere in all habitats except the polar ice caps, kasi yung mga extreme na mga conditions talagang they cannot tolerate that. So imagine you have an organism na sobrang kalat na kalat sa environment mo, and then very sensitive sila sa perturbations ng either temperature or ng humidity, climate change, ganon. So, if you know kung ano yung mga diversity ng or fauna list ng mga langgam, and then you can parang track yung changes sa kanilang diversity, it's parang a warning sign. Yung parang canary in the minefield, parang ganon. So, sila yung unang maapektuhan, and then they will be also the first one to parang indicate na merong problem in the environment. So it's very interesting to study that about ants. Then also yun nga, this is a sample of the study that we did in Mount Hamiguitan in 2016. We conducted a study by placing 3 transects. So the 3 colors that you see in front of you are 3 transects. One at high elevation, another in mid elevation, then low elevation. What we found out is that ants do not really fare well with colder temperatures. So that at high elevation, very low na yung diversity. Although when we extrapolated the samples using yung there's this program, I forgot the name.
Estimate S, sir.
Estimate S, yes. Thank you, Eric. Yeah, Estimate S. So if you can see yung higher elevation, hindi pa nag-asymptote yung kanyang level until 20 transect, because we only conducted 10 transect. Yun yung hindi yung dashed line. But if we had extended our transect to 20, it would have yielded us until siguro mga 21. Kasi we only found siguro mga nasa 18 or 17, ganun. So, yun. So, again, yung highest diversity is at low elevation. As you can see, pataas ng pataas without any indication of plateauing, yung asymptote. So, it would indicate that at low elevation, yung diversity ng langgam is very high. So, yan. Then also yung inventory of insect fauna. Yung faunistic study is a very basic scientific research na pwedeng gawin ng mga undergrad students, especially if they're undergrad here. I always tell the students na pumupunta sa museum that at undergrad level, you do not have to be very extravagant or very ambitious about your research. Ang gusto lang malaman ng mga teachers ninyo is that you can do the methodology. You have the understanding of the scientific method. Sa mga master students naman is yung ability for you to implement those scientific method. So yun. So inventory of scientific fauna in an area is a very, very good basic study that can be done by anybody. Yan, so yun nga, yung mga basic faunistic. And then also, yun nga, I cannot overemphasize this. In the Philippines, in terms of ants, I don't know why very few people are studying ants. Kasi more or less 60% chance for you to discover a new species of ant. Yan. So again, this Coreacinu, but this was in 2015. I'll just very briefly show you what we discovered in 2025. If you're familiar with this new discovery of 6 new species in the Philippines, this is very interesting because in the past, it's a very rarely collected species yung Bombycedrus. This is very rare. Ito siya. These are the kind of ants that are very rare in the collection that we have. But when we collected them in the nighttime, that's when we found the diversity. So yun nga yung question on behavior nila, di ba? We didn't know in the past that these organisms are nocturnal. So we never collected them in the night, which is why meron tayong parang scarcity in the collection. But now, since we found out that they do thrive in the night, we've been collecting them, and now we found a lot of them in one paper. We published it. So yun yung mga scientific discovery that we find when we're studying the mga ganitong organisms. Okay, let me just go forward here. Okay, so yun. Okay. So all this hassle that I've been doing, and siguro si Sir Ja has been doing, pero bakit namin ginagawa ito, no? So, one of the reasons why we do this is that there are so many areas, yung cliche, di ba, na we're losing so much forest in the Philippines so fast that we do not know what is found there. So, parang imagine itong isang area of parcel of forested area in Palawan. We have not been to this area, pero it's been cut down and then burned for kaingin. Imagine the species that are found in there na siguro doon lang matatagpuan, but now we can no longer know or discover them. 'Di ba? Parang imagine na parang pinanganak ka pero wala kang birth certificate. So hindi ka makikilala, or di mo alam kung saan ka nanggaling, ganun, sino yung magulang mo, parang ganun. So it's a very sad situation actually for us in the Philippines. Ito yung panawagan namin mga taxonomists, especially for people. There's very few boots on the ground that are doing the study, so that we need more young minds to go into scientific study, especially species discovery. And then yung siguro this is the end of the slide. Take home message ko lang is that, again, field biology is fun. It's difficult but it's fun. So do not be parang off kayo kaagad, because again, I cannot tell you how much fun it is. And then yun nga, our stint here in the planet is very short, no? So ang advice ko sa inyo is that always listen to your mentors, especially your mga teachers inyo, because they know best. Again, at the end of the day, sila yung magdidictate kung makagraduate kayo hindi. So follow their instructions very carefully. And then leave the world better than the way that you found it. And then, yun. I think that, yeah. Oh wow, mali yata, nagkulang yata ako. But anyway, the world needs young minds like you, especially yung mga determined and then my passion to go into biodiversity study. So please, if you have the inclination, sa totoo lang, ang dami ng ano yan, mga corporate minds sa Pilipinas. What we need are biological minds naman. So yan. Yan, finally, yun, again, listen to your teachers. Listen to Sir Eric kasi they know best. Okay. And then, so quick trivia lang. I have a question here that a lot of students have been asking me. So, kasi again, in the past, I thought there were only two types of langgam, yung pula sa yung itim. So, yung Myrmica pulca and then Myrmica nigra. So, yung black ant and then red ant. But apparently, meron din tayong blue ant. So, everybody, please meet Polaris ventris. It's a blue ant that is endemic to the Philippines. So one of the endemic ants natin here in the Philippines. And then, but again, there, sa totoo lang, it doesn't stop there. So species discovery kasi is parang sa totoo lang sa aming mga taxonomists, very common na siya eh. We also have mga stranger things. So in the past, may mga kakilala kong taxonomists na nagpapatasan ilang species ang na-discover mo, yung ilang new species ang na-discover mo. Magsabi ng isa, dalawa, tatlo, ganun. Sabi ko, wala. Kayo, naka-discover kayo ng ganito. Do you know what that is? So this is actually a very rare aberration in ants. Na kung saan if you're familiar with gynandromorphism, so one part of the ant, one side of the ant is a female and then the other side is a male. So it's in one it's in one ant. So para siyang Frankenstein, di ba? So parang how many people can can see that, di ba? So yun. So everybody, thank you very much for bearing with my antics. I leave it all now to your teacher, si Sir Eric.
Thank you, Sir Perry. So let me just again pin myself. Pin myself. Ayan. So
Myself.
yeah.
Okay, I'm
So
gonna stop
I
sharing.
hope ayan. So I hope our students who are present here as well as my students who are requested, no, not hindi pala request, ordered to be here. Wala naman silang choice, no. Okay, mag-alala, lahat naman ng mga tao ay madalas walang choice sa akin. Nag-uupo na lang sila. So yun. So,
Prime
if
example
you
kami yan.
makakalat ka rin to sila. So if you have questions right now, you may raise your hand so I can call you. Or if you have, if you don't want to talk right now, you can actually post your questions in the chat box. I think I'm not sure if I opened the Q&A box here, but you can also put it in the Q&A box if it's active. So, are there any questions from our participants?
Walang
Ayan.
Miss Universe question, ah.
Ay, nako, si Levi ang unang nagtaas ng
Wala
kamay.
na si Levi.
Yeah, so sige. So, Sir Levi, straight from Japan, you're
Ohio!
Hello po.
requesting.
Hello. Sir, ano lang, very interesting lang dun sa Odontomaco sa Palawan. Is it possible lang na naligaw lang siya dun? Parang na-drift
Oh.
away lang siya ng sea,
No,
right?
not yeah. So the funny thing about the Palawan discovery was merong karst outcrop yung coast na yon. So if you can imagine parang a big boulder of rock, siguro mga 5 or 10 meters from the main coast, nandun yung colony ng langgam na yon. So during low tide, meron talagang mga individuals in the ebb. Yung ebb is yung ano yan, 'di ba? Yung nag-recede na tide ng coast that are foraging. And the thing about that discovery is that tinest talaga namin siya. We collected individuals and then we placed them in parang mga islands in the sand na kung saan there's water surrounding it. And then every time walang paltos, they would always orient themselves going towards the coast. And then they would literally go into the water without being pushed or yung may intent, they had the intent to cross the barrier talaga.
Alright.
This is
Habol lang,
also
sir.
common in there's a similar species in Australia sa Darwin, yung Polarachis socoloba.
Mm,
Na sila naman ay nasa mga marsh, mga mangroves. Yung kanilang colony is under the mangroves, and then yung inside ng colony, they can trap air. And then during low
mm.
tide, they would go out to forage. And then when the water would come in, they would be parang burdened by yung rising tide, which would make them trapped, but they would actually cross the barrier pa rin.
Pahabol lang, sir, pangalawa.
Yeah.
Paano po maging kasing pogi niyo?
Wow! Talaga, seryoso?
Joke lang, sir, joke lang.
Mas pogi ka pa rin
Thank you,
sa
po.
akin, Chong.
Yan tayo nakapag-Japan lang eh.
Yun nga eh.
Sige. So, I think before I call in Steven, I'll read one of the questions here. It's about preservation of ant specimens. So, sir,
Mhm.
do you apply any substance or a spray to the
Mhm.
ant specimen during the preservation process?
Very good question. So once we collect the ants, kung napansin nyo yun dun sa pitfall, di ba? And then the winkler, yung killing agent namin doon is actually soapy water, no? So once we take them out of that soapy water, we put them in ethanol, preferably mga 95%, yung pure technical grade na, because that way you can always preserve yung genetic material niya. Once you put them in ethanol in the lab, you just take them out for mounting, and then you just dry them. We don't actually use like yung mga formalin for mga vertebrate or for dragonfly kasi we use acetone, di ba? But for ants, we just dry them once they're taken out of the ethanol.
Ayan. So,
Very simple lang.
Thank you, Sir Perry. I think you've answered the question. So, let's go with Steven. Steven, your question? Nakamute ka.
Nakamute.
Hello
Yan,
po,
okay na.
sir. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon,
Good
Sir Eric.
afternoon.
Good afternoon, Sir Perry. Sir, by the way, I'm Steven from Sultan Kudarat State University po in Mindanao po, sir. Sir,
Mm-hmm.
may question po ako, sir. Marinig niyo po ako?
Yes.
Okay. Sir, aside sa Palawan, sir, ano pa yung mga area sa Pilipinas, sir, na may potential na ano, sir, na magiging study area po when nandun sa plant po? Ay, when nandun sa ants po, sir, ant study po. And aside on that, sir, on the part of the research and development, how we can integrate to the students the importance of studying the ants in our what's called this in terms of species diversity, their genetics, and so on and so forth. Kasi like I said earlier rin po sa talk with the tawag nito. Wait lang po, sir. Yung sa, ano, sir, kaninang umaga, like sa mga butterfly, sir, we need to have to execute certain papers that parang, or what I mean to say is, yung mga study po, sir, i-incorporate into one parang position paper and there's that just only to send in the specific bureau, especially DN or yeah, DNR or B4 whatsoever. So parang ganun po, sir. Paano natin siya ma-i-integrate and paano natin ma-boost pa itong ant study po in the Philippines po, sir? Maliban sa Philippines, sa Bangladesh, sorry, Madagascar pala, sabi niyo po kanina. So, paano natin ma-integrate po? Thank you po,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you, Steven. So, may dalawang question ka na naintindihan ko. So, yung una, saan pang ibang parts ng Philippines? Again, as I said, very poorly studied pa rin yung Pilipinas in terms of ad diversity. With the exception of the mainland Luzon, mostly sa Visayas and Mindanao, if you sample any mountain, you will definitely find something new as long as you deploy the right protocol and then maayos yung collect mo ng specimen. With regards to your second question, if I understand it correctly, yung integration mo, how we can integrate yung ant study in terms of, I'm assuming yung policy, no? Ganito yun. If you look at the food web, ano yung pinaka base ng food web mo? Usually, ito yung mga kinakain, di ba? So, yung langgam is a food source for a lot of all the other levels up in the food chain, di ba? Like, kinakain siya ng lizard, yung lizard kinakain ng owl, yung owl kinakain ng Philippine eagle. Parang ganon, di ba? So, if you integrate yung study in the context of conservation, you cannot protect yung mga keystone species natin without actually studying kung ano yung mga nasa lower levels ng food chain. Because if you study kung ano yung mga nasa baba ng food chain, you actually help yung mga apex predators on top of the food chain. So, it's a very ano yan, very parang straightforward conservation study na kung saan you protect yung mga keystone species mo by protecting also those mga low charismatic species.
So I think nasagot na. By the way, I think tatanong din kasi ito ni Steven kanina. So I would like to comment on that, yung pagdating sa
Sige nga.
position papers on kasi I think what Steven is trying to point out is that if we can, as scientists, for example, in the academe, for example, is to submit a position paper using our different work in the sciences to push for
Mm.
policies, for example, or regulations in protecting biodiversity. To be honest, Steven, and of course the others here that are in the Zoom room, merong efforts. Like, you don't get me wrong, there are efforts by DNR. There are a lot of PBSAP meetings, and Sir Perry is a part of the technical working group for DNR, no? So don't get our government wrong as well. I'm not saying that they are perfect or they are really doing everything, no? Marami rin akong criticism about how they do it, no? But we need to know that there are efforts, and as scientists, as students, as environmentalists, as conservationists, we need to work with them. We do not, there is actually a thin line between criticizing our DNR or our government institutions, and perhaps rather than criticizing them, we need to work with them. No, because to be honest, our papers, for example, it's not that they don't know it, they really know it. It's just that sometimes we as scientists, I always tell this to my students because we tend to forget that they're actually efforts, and we just need to communicate with them, better. And I hope that our students, no, siguro, ano to, short comment lang, no. I hope that the younger student will not get me wrong. We really need to know how to communicate. Minsan kasi yun yung kulang yung makipag-usap. To talk to DNR, not to not to tell them that they're doing something wrong. Rather, tell them that we can help you. Actually, sila Sir Perry sa National Museum, no? Laging napapalaban yan minsan, especially for collection permits. So yun lang. I just want to, to let Steven, because Steven is a very passionate conservationist, and I don't want you to stop, but we need to really, try to have a more convincing tone. Kasi pakiramdam ko, tayo as scientists, as conservationists minsan, nakakalimutan natin how to properly communicate what we want to do. Same, bigay ko rin yung kanina kay Sir Perry on taxonomists that hindi sa wala tayong budget. Abang awayin ako ng mga taxonomists slightly, pero ang president ako ng ASBP, take note. It's how we communicate really on our science, how we approach things, so that the policymakers and the science meet in the middle. Kasi hindi tayo naiintindihan minsan ng policymakers. And I hope, moving forward, again, be better than us. Yun lang masabi ko sa mga estudyante ko, always be better than us. Try to be more efficient in communicating, perhaps. And siguro mas magiging okay yun. So, sige. Nagising yung diwa ko kasi kay Steven. So, bigla ako napahaba ng ipits. Sige, no problem. But again, Steven is, actually, natutuwa ko kay Steven kasi almost lahat ng pa-webinar ko recently, nakikita ko siya. Naaalala ko siya lagi. So, no problem naman, Steven.
Thank you po,
I
sir.
appreciate.
Thank you po, sir. Para sa biology, gagawin ko po.
Yes,
Kahit
of
pagod
course.
na pagod na. Thank you po, sir. Thank you po.
True. Sige. So next, before I ask some questions from our live audience, so I'll read some questions here from the chat box. So we have a student here from Visayas State University by Leyte. So when introducing live non-ant species such as termites, I observe a drumming behavior by individuals. Are there other ants that perform the same drumming behavior? Have you observed this, Sir Perry?
Yeah, actually, yung drumming behavior is called stridulation. That's may stridulatory organ sila between yung kanilang mesosoma and then yung petiole nila. So this is a well, in some species it's a common behavior to communicate either aggression or yung pag-invite into a food source. So yes, there are that kind of behavior. Although in the Philippines we do not know which ones. Again, we barely know anything about our endemic ants aside from their name.
Thank you, Sir Perry. One more question from the chat box before I call Ivy. This one is from my student. So she's very curious about speciation in ants. The speciation, at least for ants, happen more rapidly in smaller organisms compared to larger bodied animals. Perhaps Sir Perry, perspective using arthropods, no? Considering that smaller organism may become isolated or
Mhm.
more
Ah,
easily and live on
ah.
shorter generation time.
Very good question actually. Yeah. If you have a chance, you should read yung new paper namin last December, yung Vombicidris, because before we thought yung group na yon, which is very rare, and then only collected during the night. Um, we thought that they do not occur in the same habitat, no, but yung mga discovery that we found over the past couple of years showed that yung extralimital distance nila among each other actually overlaps. So yung allopatric sila, no, so they can ano yan, they can coexist alongside each other. But I'm not so sure about yung speciation nila eh. Kasi in terms of ants kasi they disperse in most cases by flight, no. So yung mga barriers that are available could be in some cases overcome. But in the Philippines, I'm not familiar with any form of study of dealing with that subject.
Ayan. Ano naman sa evolution, case-to-case
Evolution
basis
case,
talaga. Kasi hindi lang naman size yung factor, marami, especially if there are other adaptations such as ants, lumilipad kasi
mm.
sila. So there are other considerations. No? So sige, next would be, let me call on Ivy, one of my students from University of the Philippines, Visayas. Ivy? At nawala siya pagkatawag ko sa kanya. Parang natakot siya bigla. Bigla siyang
Hello,
na-log
sir.
out.
Sir, I'm
Ayan,
here.
sige, ayan na.
Good
Yes,
afternoon,
yes,
Sir
Ivy.
Terry. Yeah, I'm student of Sir Eric. So actually, I have like three questions supposed to be, but I think the first two has already been answered. So the first one was regarding the preservation methods, and the
Mhm.
second one was all about the whereabouts of the possibly swimming ants, just like the Odontomachus in Palawan. So you mentioned that they were also found in marsh and mangroves, so in Australia and Malaysia. So, but right now, my question is that regarding the ants, just like the Odontomachus, so they has an ability to swim. So, is there already something physiologically or anatomically speaking that has been discovered regarding that or described regarding their ability, especially that for you have observed them in environment that is marine or has salts?
Yeah, good question, Ivy. Ivy nga ba? Okay, yeah, good question. Yes, so yung particular species ng Odontomachus na yon sa Palawan is called Odontomachus malignus. Imagine yung malignus na parang maligno siya, no? Anyway, those ants have already been described. I forgot the year, but in the past, they have already been indicated to be coastal in nature, no? Um, yun yung talagang habitat nila. When we look closer doon sa mga um, legs nila, may mga parang um, hair follicles sila, mga setae sila na kung saan parang it acts as a parang a bow, yung if you're familiar sa mga boats, parang ganun. So parang nagiging paddle siya. So yung sitay na yon. So it was not parang consistent with other Odontomachus species, especially yung congener niya that was found in that same area, yung Odontomachus similimus. That particular adaptation yata ng kanyang legs is only found in Odontomachus malignus, which led us to believe that yun yung kanyang adaptation for that environment. Does that answer your question?
Sagot ba,
Yes,
Ivy?
sir. Thank you.
Ayan. Thank you, Ivy. So before I move on again to the chat box. Let me call on Christina Barazon.
Good afternoon po. Am I audible? Sorry for my
Yes,
voice.
yes.
I'm very sick.
Yes.
Thank you, Sir Perry, and thank you, Sir Eric, for the opportunity. We are very much. I am from Mindanao State University,
Mhm.
and I thank you that this um event is actually posted online, so I get the opportunity to join you. I am quite interested with Myrmecophytes, Ant and Plant Association, and
Mhm.
we will be studying this one in Mindanao. And I would like to ask, in your point of view, how much time do we consider to really check the association of ants? Because most of the time when we check on ants, either they are just visiting or foraging.
Mhm.
And what time of the day should we go about to check on the association of ants? And how do we go about it? Thank you very much.
So Christina, definitely yung mga myrmecophytes, they have colonies inside of the plant mismo. So you need to collect both the plant and to be able to collect the ant inside and preserve the association. Kasi usually kasi if you collect the ant alone without the plant, nawawala yung association eh. So if you're familiar with John Ray Caliado, yung dati naming botanist sa museum, he's now at NFRDI na sa forest
There's the forest, yung forest
Forest
product.
Development.
FDRDI.
NFRDI, yeah. Ang ginagawa niya, kinokolekta niya yung parang bulb ng myrmecophyte, nung plant. And then once na nakalagay na siya sa loob ng plastic, maglalabasan na yung mga langgam. So that's the time that you collect them. Also, make sure to collect as much as possible everything because may mga tinatawag tayong ant guest na associated within the colony itself. We are very interested in that kasi may mga beetles at may mga cockroaches na living inside colonies that are not being harmed by the ants. Kasi natural tendency ng foreigner when you're entering the colony is to be attacked. But for some reason, na-override nitong mga ant guest na ito ng nest colony na to yung pheromone signature ng mga langgam. So we're very interested in that. So all you have to do is to grab yung ant plant mo, put it in a Ziploc or in a plastic, and then siguro once all the ants have emerged, douse it with alcohols and then put it in a vial. Yeah.
Thank you po. Another thing, Sir Perry, we're not only interested with Myrmecodia, but other and plant associations such as any plants in the area which is really associated with ants.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah. If the ant kasi usually pa nag-forage kasi yung ant, they go on vegetation din, no? So usually yun yung parang kanilang tawag dito, area where they gather their food. Pero para ma-ensure nyo na talagang may association sila, meaning nandun sila nakatira, hanapin nyo yung colony. Usually nandiyan yun sa mga bulbs or doon sa mga root sa root system nila, ganun.
Thank you po. And if we're going to be collecting the ants and for identification, how much time do we need to give for the ID, sir?
It depends on how fast you can learn the key that was generated by General and Alport 2012.
And if it's a third-party ID?
Oh, again, katulad ng sinabi ni Dr. Eric, we can help you in identifying your identification by verifying it. Pero you also need to do your part to also study your organism and then make a pre-identification.
Thank you very much, Sir Perry.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Guys, hindi sa ayaw namin kayong tulungan, ha? It's
Mhm.
because it's really part of our training as biologists to identify your own species, whether you're be doing ecology or even if you're just doing biotechnology, if you're doing biotechnology work, you really need to know your organism. Iba guys kapag alam nyo kilala nyo yung actual organism nyo. So again, our experts, again, no, if you, ayun na, tama yun, narinig ko tuloy yung asawa ko. Parang jowa lang yan. Kailangan kilalang kilala mo yung jowa mo. Hindi po pwedeng ipinakilala lang sa'yo tapos sinota mo na. So that's a different, kaya ganun yun. Guys, ganun yung i-treat yung inyong mga taxon group. Kailangan para siyang jowa na kinilala nyo talaga. No? Whether that be ecology, whether that be microbiology, whether that be you're doing phytochemical analysis, for example, kailangan alam nyo yung organism nyo. Hindi po pwedeng someone else lang yung mag-identify for you. Ayan. Eto, so
And
I'm gonna...
also, Dr. Rizzo, I also have to add,
sige.
you have to understand, there are also a lot of things that are being done by a lot of the experts, no? So, may mga, it's not important yung inquiry niyo, but there are also other equally important matters
Oo.
that they are doing. So, to help them in their, to help us help you, you have to help them.
Ayan. Ayan. Help us help you. Ika nga yan.
Yes, yan.
At saktong-sakto, sir, dahil mukhang naiganti ka ng isang estudyante, naiganti
Ha!
ng isang estudyante si Jaa, so meron siyang isang Miss Universe question.
Well,
Napansin ko lang siya out of nowhere sa chat box. So ito yung tatanong ko. So sabi ni Aldrich, this question is much more related to your work rather than your specialization. What level of dedication did you show to become a museum researcher?
wow.
By this, I mean, what are some of the practices or skills that you did prior to becoming a museum researcher? Did you read hundreds of papers about ants? Did you personally collect and preserve ant specimens? This is coming from a biologist who dreams of working in a museum someday, such as the Philippine National Museum.
Babae ba to? Lalaki?
Lalaki, ikaw talaga, Sir Aldrich.
Wow, Miss Universe. Anyway, paano ba to? So, I went to Ateneo Dinaga on a BS in Environmental Management. So, yung aking mentor si Dr. David General, he was already studying ants during that time with his colleague Gary Alpert from Harvard. And ang kanilang mountain was Mount Isarog, as I said earlier, no? So, yun nga, every weekend meron siyang collecting activity na ginagawa sa Mount Isarog. And it was in the farm of his uncle. And he would invite in his class kung sino yung interested to go with him and collect ants. And so during that time, college ka, so tambay ka lang pag weekend, walang ginagawa. Sabi ko, might as well go with with my teacher and then probably learn something new. So apparently it's a stroke of luck for me. Naging maswerte lang talaga ako because I jumped into the chance of learning with somebody who has the passion, my passion to do work with ants. And so he brought me along for several months every weekend on Mount Isarog collecting ants, and then babalik kami sa lab during class to process yung specimen namin. And then I got hooked doon sa processing because ang dami, there's so many variations ng mga langgam na talagang hindi ko pa nakikita. So again, yung inisip ko noon, there's only red and black ants. So apparently meron tayong blue, meron tayong green, meron orange. Alam mo yan, so ang dami-dami, and then there's only this one guy doing it. So ang sabi ko, maybe I'll just for the heck of it join him for some more expedition. And then by a stroke of luck then, when he went to Dr. General went to the museum, na-meet niya si Dr. Arvin Jasmos. And Dr. Arvin Jesmos is a herpetologist and meron siyang project all throughout the Philippines to study yung vertebrate fauna ng mga amphibians and reptiles. And along with that study is also yung mga diet ng mga animals na ito, ng mga frogs, which has more or less mga langgam. So I went along with Dr. Jesmos in the recommendation of Dr. General, and we spent siguro mga 2 months in Mindanao collecting amphibians, and then I was collecting mga langgam. So doon na na-develop yung aking parang interest. As they say, everything was history kasi it parang snowballed from there. I took up a master's degree sa Ateneo de Manila to do and study, although hindi natapos. But then, ayun, so an opportunity again opened for an entomologist at the National Museum. And then, yun, that's where I am now.
Yan. Ilang taon ka na nga ba sa museum, sir?
Bata pa siyang bata pa.
Bata ka pa nung pumasok ka sa museum. Ibang usapan yon.
Oo, kasi sinabi ni Jia, 36 years old na siya eh.
Oo, nag-OJT pa yung ex ko sa museum, nandun ka na eh.
Yun nga eh. Actually, nandun ako nung sinunog mo yung kusina ni Kuya Rolly eh.
Oo, di ba? Oh, nagsunog pa ako ng bahay ng may bahay. Nandun ka na. So alam natin na matagal ka na sa museum. Marami kaming field adventure. Alam nyo, guys, isa pang masasabi ko sa inyo is a lot of experience kami sa field. Iba-iba. May current
Bloopers
wife.
and everything. Yeah.
Yung wife ko, pag sinasama niya ako doon sa field, girlfriend ko pa lang siya, sinusunod ko pa lang siya noon. Iba na yung experience. Kami nang nangyari, nakasunog pa kami ng bahay. But anyway, sige. So let's field experience, truth field experience yun. At marami pa silang pinagsamahan ng iba pang mga colleagues namin, no? Di ba, Sir Perry, yung umakyat kayo, nabagyo kayo. Hindi ko maintindihan bakit naisipan ni Sir Arvin umakyat sa taas ng bundok at magkape. Inabot kayo ng bagyo, naalala mo yun?
Yung biglang may NPA na dumating sa kampo, tapos akala namin mountain cleaning lang, ganun.
Oo, di ba? Talaga ng iba. Sige. So, a question here, this is more of a taxonomic question perhaps. No? So, not taxonomic, diversity question. So, I'm also interested sa question. Have you ever observed a cave obligate species, sir, of ants in the Philippines?
Cave obligate? Not mismo sa loob ng cave, doon sa what's that opening called? May tawag sila doon eh, yung in between the inner and then the outer. Meron, but not so much inside.
Not inside, okay. So another question here from Wilhelm si Wilhelm Pan, no? Sir, may I ask if the introduced ant species like Solenopsis geminata is already now a problem for our native ant species? Meron na po ba tayong nakikitang impact dun sa ating mga ant species?
Actually, ang Solenopsis geminata is actually, we believe it to be it's a resident here in the Philippines. It's not actually
it's not invasive, okay.
It's an invasive. Mukhang regionally present siya sa atin. What we are more concerned of is yung mga other invasives like na document namin. We have a paper that will be coming out soon, hopefully. There's this ant that is very devastating. Parang second lang siya sa Solenopsis invicta, yung tropical red fire ant. It's common sa US, sa Florida. Nag-invade na sila sa China, ganon. But it's still not present here. But yung kanilang similarly destructive na invasive, yung Wasmannia arupongtata, we've documented it here. But it's already been documented. So that's very disturbing kasi it will affect a lot of livestock natin. Siyempre yung health-wise, it can cause lots of medical issues like anaphylactic shock for mga sensitive individuals. Kaya I'm very parang against doon sa mga groups that are actually parang selling ants online, yung mga colonies. And then parang shipping them out, either out of the country or importing them from other countries, as well as yung mga groups that are I mean the hobby of taking care of ants is actually very ano yan, very precarious, no? Kasi once you're not careful and then you accidentally set them free out of their natural range and then nag-establish sila, that's the time that invasive species become ano yan, become problematic. So as much as possible, if you're familiar of any groups that are parang dealing with selling mga ants, especially if they're outside of their native range, try to encourage them to stop kasi it will do more harm than good.
Yeah, no? So actually, very controversial talaga pag pinag-usapan na natin yung keeping of
Yeah.
wildlife.
Mm-mm.
So again, as much as again, it's again, I just one small comment on that is as much as we can, observe this, mahirap kasi talaga eh. Again, even on the side of us scientists, we can just say these things, pero kung talagang hindi susunod, it's really, I think again, it's back to our students. No? How do we communicate our science better and make people understand na may mga ginagawa tayo way back na akala natin walang impact, meron pala. So asking along those lines, no, na one student here from Cavite State University, Kenneth Julabar, wants to ask if could ants serve as a bioindicators of climate change in Philippine farmlands, and if ever, how might monitoring their population shifts help to understand the Philippine biodiversity?
Well, yeah, good question yan. So actually, again, so they're sensitive, no? So very small, and then they get affected by perturbations ng temperature. So if you can, tawag dito, if you can document yung diversity ng mga ant species that you have in your area, and then monitor yung not so much in population, but in terms of presence, if there are parang nawala, that could be an indicator of something wrong. So kasi yung ants kasi we do not deal with the individual, we deal with the colony, no? So if yung presence or absence ng isang species in the environment is monitored, it could either indicate that you have a very good stable environment or you have something going on negatively. Ay, naka-mute ka, Eric. Eric, naka-mute ka. Naka-mute ka, Eric. Eric, naka-mute ka.
Sorry, naka-mute pala ako. Ano ba yan? Dami ko sinabi, di ba? Uulitin ko lahat yun. Ulitin natin lahat. So, one of my students, this would be a very interesting question for a taxonomist who usually identify species morphologically, no? So, one of my students, Patricia Seo, is since molecular biology has become widely used across many fields of biology, so probably I'll rephrase her question better, no? Na, how can molecular tools, or have you already used or started using molecular tools such as DNA barcoding and phylogenetic analysis, no, in your work in identifying ant species in the country, or are we still enough pa yung na-observe natin morphologically sa ating ants? Kasi I think this is a case-to-case basis when it comes to taxon group. Kasi akala nung iba nating estudyante, kailangan laging may molecular aspect, no, yung ating as much as molecular tools are useful, hindi naman kailangan laging may molecular. At least as a taxonomist myself, yun yung aking opinion. So I would like to ask Sir Perry about this as well.
Good question. In terms of species description, stable pa naman yung ants morphologically to distinguish them apart. But may mga complexes kasi tayo sa langgam din. So may mga complex na very hard to tell apart morphologically that you would now need to do genetics. So if you're familiar, yung langgam na pinakita ko kanina sa labeling, yung Artidrus beneventii, niresolve namin yung kanyang placement sa Crematogastrini group. So parang that paper was actually commended by the myrmecological community for using both morphology and genetics, molecular study to establish yung kanyang placement and then yung kanyang pagiging new species and new genus. So yeah, it would be nice if during descriptions you would use both, but in most cases there is still enough parang leeway to use more morphology lang in describing species unless yung species specimen mo that you have falls into a complex.
Ayan. Thank you, Sir Perry, for clarifying that. Though, of course, recently, ang approach naman sa taxonomy would be integrative,
Yep.
no? Using molecular and
And morphology.
morphological. Pero yun nga, hindi ka agad tatalon dun sa DNA bandwagon. Ika nga, kung kaya mo siyang i-ID using your morphology. No? Hindi naman lahat kailangan ng... sorry doon sa committee. Kasi napapansin ko yan sa mga estudyante natin. Laging they really... And sadly, again, ito yung resulta na lahat na molecular natin, nababawasan na yung mga nag-field na biology or nag-ecology, no? Sayang naman yung mga experience.
I think it's good It's good for us to also be familiar with genetics and molecular it's a tool actually. Pero again, since it's a tool, you treat it as parang a tool that you either use or you do not. Especially if kung yung iyong taxon of interest has a very good foundation, which ants have.
Ayan, thank you, Sir Pepe. Ito pala, may kailangan pala akong balikan. Kasi yung kanina, ano tawag dito, yung stridulation, yung palang kino-confirm niya, sir, is they actually slam their abdomen dun sa substrate or and rapidly tapping their abdomen on the floor of their enclosure. Parang ganon. So, ganon yung ginagawa ng termite ata ito. I forgot.
Termite?
Na-observe din siya sa ants. I think yun ang question niya.
Oh, that's interesting. Ano yung species?
Let me double check again dun sa
Pero
I think wala siyang
have
nasabing species, termites lang yung na-specify.
I have not seen that behavior pa. Like,
not yet kasi. So
I have
maybe
not
it would be an interesting it would
Mm.
be an interesting study to look at yung behavior
Yeah.
na yun. Ayan, sir, naglagay siya ng species. P. cyaniventris.
Polyraca cyaniventris?
Na doon niya na-observe yung behavior na yun. But perhaps an interesting thing to study moving
Hindi ko pa siya
forward.
na-observe sa cyaniventris.
Sige. So that's interesting thing. It's imagine that, no? In a simple na may
Di ko
mga
alam yun,
nalalearn pa tayo, di ba? O may mga nalalearn pa tayo, especially with our students. You haven't seen that for a long time, no? Imagine the longest time na nag-aaral si Sir Perry, hindi pa niya nakikita. Pero yung isa natin estudyante nakita yun. Ayan. Sige, sasarado ko tong kanina kasi inask ko si Jan na closing message. Ito maganda tong question kasi sir ng estudyante ko to close this session. So after years of collecting ants, meron ka bang specific moment sa field na lalo pang nagpatibay sa love mo sa field na ito? Yeah.
Okay. Hindi naman sa pagtataas ng bangko, no? Pero I think it was the discovery of Artidrus beneventii kasi siya yung nag-iisa nating endemic genus dito sa Pilipinas. But isa kasi sa pinaka very fond memory ko doon sa discovery na yun is that we discovered that species in 2000 if I'm not mistaken, 14. I forget the year. Anyway, matagal na. Pero we found it in the mountains of Nueva Vizcaya sa Mount Palali. Si Dr. Jesmos, and then if you're familiar with Rafe Brown, Dr. Rafe Brown from Kansas University, mga herpetologists ito. So kasama nila ako. We were hiking for almost most of the day, from 7 a.m. to siguro mga 4 or 5 p.m. And then when we reach yung campsite namin, medyo pababa na yung araw. So dusk na yon, no? So padilim na. And then we were pitching tents. Magkatabi si Dr. Jesmos and then Rafe Brown. Ako medyo may kalayuan pero naririnig ko pa rin sila. Anyway, si Rafe Brown umihi sa isang log malapit doon sa pinagpipitchan nila ng tent. And then sumigaw siya, "Perry, there are ants over here." Nung tinignan ko, iniihiyan niya. I'm not gonna collect there. You just pissed on that log. Gumanon ako. Anyway, nag-pitch pa rin ako ng tent. And then, si Dr. Jesmos naman, umihi rin doon sa same spot. And then sabi niya, "Perry, may mga langgam nga. Mukhang interesting." Si Dr. Jesmos, pag nagsabi ng mukhang interesting, okay, sige, fine, sige. So, carefully, pumunta ako doon sa kung saan walang ihi nila. And then, kinolekta ko sila. So, nag-stuck sa akin yung memory na yon because when we came back into the field and I was processing yung specimen, si Dr. General, yung mentor ko, was processing the same vial na kung saan kinolekta ko yung same specimen na inihian ng dalawang herpetologist na yon. And then, I went outside of the room ng herpetology office para mag-CR. And then, paglabas ko ng CR, nasa labas ng room si Dr. General, which is all the way across ng hall. And then, nag-wave siya sa akin na, "Bilisan mo, pumunta ka rito." And then, nung bumalik ako sa room, nandun sa microscope yung specimen. And then, sinabi niya, "Tingnan mo yung mandible ng langgam na to." The very cool stuff about Aristidus buenaventea is that yung kanyang mandible is my extension. Extended siya, which is very uncommon sa mga langgam. So, that one experience, parang nag-stuck sa akin na hindi lahat ng ayaw mong kolektahin ay dapat hindi mo kolektahin because malamang yun na yung magiging next new genus endemic to the Philippines. So parang every time na nasa field ako, kahit masama yung panahon, kahit masama pakiramdam ko, since we are all against time and yung ating places being destroyed, I always try to collect as much specimen that I can bring back to the lab so that we can make more discovery. So yan. For the discovery tayo.
And thank you, Sir Perry, for your time today. I think maraming natutunan yung ating mga estudyante ko at of course yung mga iba pang nag-join sa ating.
Hopefully.
Apologies sa iba, no? Sa mga I was not able to address their question. May nagtanong din pala kanina kasi how to contact you. I think publicly available yung work email ni Sir Perry. So
Yeah.
I think it's very easy to find Sir Perry's email in the web kasi very prominent
Wow.
myrmecologist, no? Si Sir Perry. Ano yun, walang halong biro kasi when you search for ant studies in recent years, no? In the Philippines, that's De Veneral and Perry Benavente. Halos wala kayong ibang makikitang ibang papel. Sila lang yun.
Sidekick lang ako.
Oo. Either sabit yung isa or sabit yung isa. Bahala na kayo kung sino yung sumabit. Pero madalas sila lang yan. So actually, it's easy to find their contact email, both Sir Dave and Sir Perry. Depende uli sa pangangailangan nyo kasi baka, though of course they will accommodate you naman if it's really needed. So if you're asking for the email of our resource person for today, I think it's easily accessible naman sa ating web, no? So you can actually search for it. Or gusto niyo
punta sila sa National Museum webpage. There is directory there.
Or gusto niyo email niyo yung boss niya.
Kasi wala akong rason para hindi sagutin.
Wala siyang magagawa eh. Sige. So once again, everyone, thank you for attending. Sir Perry, maraming salamat sa this week, no? So apologies, no? Apologies to the other people who are wasn't able to address their questions. So once again, thank you very much. So Sir Perry, maraming salamat. So I will be ending the meeting now. Once again, thank you very much. Sige.
Thank
Thanks, Sir
you.
Perry. Sige, see you.